Alright, go and start wrapping up. And let's talk about the FRQ. Let's go through how to actually properly solve one of these FRQs. I'm using one of the blank ones that you did. Yesterday, I cannot turn off the lights because it's a document camera and it sucks and I don't have light for it. So, go ahead, pull up a little closer if you can't read this, which you probably, possibly may or may not be able to. It's purplish, but it's not one big purple blob all over the screen. And that's significantly better from where I started. Let me just make sure all this stuff's good. Yeah, like I said, the stocking camera kind of sucks. Oh, that looks better. Okay. So, I'll also be recording this, vocal and visual, so that way you can have this as a secondary resource.
Is it going on the YouTube channel?
Yes, it is. Well, how many of you checked out the FRQ thing I put up either yesterday or the day before?
Not me.
Yeah, I definitely checked that out too. All right, so this is one of the ones you did yesterday. Elevator. You hated this one, right?
Yeah.
Anyone not hate this one? Yeah, probably a couple of you did pretty well on it. It was an interesting breakup because this first part was 7 points, and the second one was 2 points. All right, so let's go through how I would go ahead and solve it. So I've just now gotten my FRQ packet, and they said to start. So I start off, and I go immediately to this page. I pretty much ignore most of this. I kind of look at it. I know I'm dealing with something about elevators and getting the current floor, but I'm a little more concerned about what they actually want me to do. So I pretty much skip the first 2 pages and go immediately to this. All right, now I know that I'm supposed to receive some kind of call floor, return some kind of elevator, which I'm assuming is an object that they've made, because that's not like a standard Java thing. And I know that I need to, let's see, return the elevator that is nearest to the call floor. If 2 elevators are equally as close, return only one of them. Okay, that's pretty nice, and I even have a bracket for me. That's cool. All right, so that means I know that I need to go through some kind of group of elevators and find one that is there. So I'm going to look for first where my elevator stuff actually is. I check the second page, it's not there. Check the first page. Okay, and I can now see a list of elevators. All right, so I have this list of elevators here, and it's a type elevator, and the elevator itself has a thing for getting the current floor and something for adding stops. Okay, well I can at least, I don't know if I'm doing that right now, because this A thing only asks for the nearest one, so I'm probably not using that yet. But this one I seem to be using. Any other instance variables that could be in there I don't really care about, because I apparently don't need them. Alright, and then for the nearest elevator, there it is. Okay, so apparently I'm checking this list of elevators then to find the one that is closest to my floor. Now I'm also going to get the reference, guys, because I want to show you how to use that. I forgot that I was going to do that part. Alright, well, let's go through this. So, I return to my thing, and the very first thing I want to do is I know that I'm looking for distances, and I'm going through this whole thing. So, make a loop. Now, here's the thing about it. This loop right here, if you did it correctly, I remember it's elevators, right? Ah, yes, it's called elevators. I know that, but just that's what you would want to do right there. And you notice how I'm mostly just using that previous, it's a list, right? Ah, it is a list. And lists have size. All right. And do I have to do any look-aheads? Do I have to, do elevators at +1? Do I have to do that at any point? Do you guys think I do or not?
Yes.
I do? Yeah. Good. I don't. I know that I do not have to do that. And right there, that's +1. That'd be 1 point right there, which is pretty cool because I can get that, yeah. All right, now, let's see. I know I need to compare all these sizes. I need to check for all these sizes. So I think I'm looking for a minimum of some sort. So I'm going to add this int min. up here. And now I need a value to start it at because I'm going to be checking each time, I know, to see if the minimum is, if this minimum is bigger than whatever my new one is. So I need something for min to start at. Now, what kind of value do you guys think I should use for min to start at? Well, I'll tell you. On your exam reference sheet, it mentions that this, does it really not? Oh, that this, wait, where is it? I thought they had it on, oh, here it is. That this integer class exists, right? And on there it talks about min value and max value, which are accessed exactly as it appears here. This is a way that you would use your thing. So I would say min equals integer dot, and do you want to use max or min? Min or max?
Okay, no,
Max. And why? Make very certain that that's capitals. The reason is typically any constants we write as capitals, even if they're variables. So there we go. I set integer min to max value. So that way, the very first time min is bigger than something, and it's going to be bigger than all of our stuffs because it's the maximum value, it'll change what min is. Another option would be set it equal to the subtraction of the things. All right, then I also want to know that call floor has got to be less than, so I'm going to do something I know with call floor minus, or I'll do elevators dot, I'll do the elevator's floor minus my call floor, right? I know that much, right? Yes, no?
maybe so.
Okay, should I just like show you guys it rather than asking every now and then? What would you guys prefer? Hands up for asking you questions throughout it. Alright, I figured. So, I'll just go through it. Alright, now, I know I have to do that, but the issue is if my call floor is like 5, and, you know, this thing here, the floor I'm on and want to call the elevator to is 5, and an elevator is at, you know, 2, well, that's going to do 2 minus 5. But if I do it the other way around, then I could also have, you know, I get these negative values, and that's always going to be less than my min. So I'm going to do something called absolute value. I learned that in math, right? It's got those parallel bars, right? So here's how I'm going to go into this. I look at my thing. Do I have an absolute? There it is. There's absolute value. For integers and for doubles, my choice. I'm going to use the integer one because I'm dealing with integers. So I'm going to use, let's see, it's in what class? It's in math. So just like my integer dot min and max value, I'll use math dot abs. And that gets my absolute value of the call floor. And this is the real point of absolute value anyway, is to get the distance between two things. So call floor minus, all right, let's see, I got to daisy chain this along. Elevators dot get at I, but I'm not done yet. I just got my elevator. Now I have to actually get its, what floor is it on? Do I have something for that? Let's see. Let me look at the elevator. Get current floor. Good. I circled it. So I was able to identify it immediately. All right, dot get current floor. All right, and then I got that one, and then I got an even bigger one for the whole if statement. Okay, so now, if the minimum is bigger than this new distance that I found, which will always be positive because I've made it absolute value, then I change minimum. All right, min equals, oh boy, let's write all that again. Obviously, if I were programming this, I'd probably change that so that way it wasn't so unwieldy, but I don't care right now. And it makes it very clear, and I'm being very deliberate with how I'm writing and not doing too much crossing out. In my other example, I also crossed some stuff out to show you what that would look like. Oh god, this is so bad. Okay. Alright, so that's get current floor, which they can tell has parentheses. That's very important. A lot of you seem to forget your parentheses. If it's a method, it has parentheses. Alright, so I got that. Alright, now there's something else here I need. I don't know which index was actually had it. So I'm going to go ahead and add another variable. Pretend that +1 isn't there. And I'll get that int min index, and I'll set it equal to 0. So that way we start it off at something. So let's begin. Alright, so that means I should change min index as well. This will change it to the very first time it finds something which is smaller, which will probably be 0 since, you know, we started the min at max value. So that's two variables we really had to take care of. The distance, so that way I continue to know what distance to actually measure my later distances by, and the index of where that minimum distance was. And with that, I have, let's see, what does this thing do? Goes through all the elevators, looks for minimum, gets the minimum distance and minimum index. Well, awesome. I'm done with that for loop. And that was actually like 2 or 3 points right there. Alright, so what else do I need to do? I need to return that elevator now. Alright, returning an elevator was actually, let's see, do I have to do anything else? Post condition, elevators is unchanged. I haven't changed it, so that's good. Call floor is always bigger than or equal to 0, and call floor is less than elevators.size. Okay, well, I don't know why that second part matters. I haven't used it yet, but I can tell you because I've seen the answers and done this myself, it doesn't really matter. But they'll tell you little things like that. This thing mattered. That was nice to know. But you can usually assume those things. Alright, so let's go and return elevators. Dot get, and it's supposed to be an elevator, so I'm not going to return its floor, I'm going to return it itself. Dot get at, well, I no longer exist. Instead I have min index. So there is my min index. The end. Ooh. Okay, and that's problem number 1. That's how I solved it. You notice how much reading I did of the first 2 pages? Like, almost none. I only read what I needed to know to solve the problem. It's like the opposite of your multiple choice. This is where you IB kids will shine. Because you're like, reading? That's not what I do. Instead, that's what you'll... And that's the kind of thing you do here. Because, you know, a lot of you are looking at the advice I put up, which was like, you know, what was it? It was like things like, you know, marking the important stuff. And I see you guys like underlining certain things. It's like, stop. Mark the important stuff as in circles things like that to know that that's what you need to use. Questions on that before I move on? Okay. Then here's part 2. Part 2 is only 2 points, and I'm going to get 2 out of 2, I bet. Alright, so I get to part B. I'm like, okay, I just did part A, and I'm probably going to do something with that here. So let's see, call elevator. Okay, that makes sense. Adds the calling floor to the list of stops of the nearest eligible elevator. Parameter call floor is the floor that it's called from. Well, no, duh. Precondition, call floor is bigger than 0, yeah, okay. Elevators is unchanged. Alright, so I'm not returning anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm adding to the list of stops. Well, what list of stops is that? Back in my code here. Let's see. What list of stops are we talking about? I don't know. I don't see a list of stops. Do you guys see any lists of stops here? No. Does that matter? No, because that. I don't really have to worry what the stops actually look like or how it's added, but I know how to add them, right? And that's all I need to do is actually add that one. So let's do that then. I'm going to go ahead and add that stop. Alright, so I have to add the nearest floor, the nearest elevator. Nearest eligible elevator. Eligible, what does that mean? Do I have any other conditions written about here? Do I have anything that says, assume it works as specified regardless of what? Okay, you may use that. You must use that to get it. This is all the same. This is all the same stuff right here. Those 2 things, those 3 things, all what I saw over there. Call elevator. Okay, it looks like nearest eligible isn't really a word we have to worry about. just nearest elevator, like I had before. Assume that my method from previous works. So even if I had this blank, I'll still use it, because you're just assuming it works. All right, so here I go. Let's go ahead and call this elevator. All right, so I have to use the add stop on it. All right, so let's go and get going. All right, so I'm going to get nearest. Oops, it's not called that. What is it called? What was my method called? It was called nearest elevator, and it will return an elevator object on which I can add a new stop. Well, I should do that. Nearest elevator on, because it takes 1 integer for call floor, and that's the same name of my thing here. Awesome, we are golden. We're going to do well. Okay, I've just gotten the nearest elevator. Now I have to add a stop to it. Well, I know all elevators have an add stop method, so here we are. Dot add stop call floor. I did it. That's both points. I've used nearest elevator properly, and I've added a stop to it. And that's how I've done that part. You will always use the method that you wrote in the first part in the second part. All right, and that's how I would solve that elevator one. Now, the other way I could have done that, and I saw some of you doing this, is I could make a new elevator. Elevator E, or LE, I think is what you named it, equals nearest elevator at call floor. All right, I could have done that and then LE dot add stop, because now that one is equal to whatever thing that one was, and so I'll grab it. So yeah, that would also be fine. But yeah, either of these were good. All right, and that's how I would solve it. Very methodical, very results driven. I'm not terribly concerned about how this thing works. Usually they use things like elevators and word games that are kind of familiar to you. I mean, you guys have all used elevators, right? Yeah. So you basically understand that part. Your main concern is the results. You don't care about most of the rest. All right, any questions? Well, all right, then you guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and turn this recording off, and I'll upload it later.